The cross of Jesus Christ, the signature symbol of the central event in the history of civilization. Christ on the cross, substituting. The governor was accustomed to release for the crowd any one prisoner whom they wanted. Pilate wanted to release Jesus. Because he wanted to release Jesus, he offered Barabbas. He was notorious, that means famous for being evil. The chief priests and elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to destroy Jesus. Pilate said to them, "Then what shall I do with Jesus who is called Christ?" They all said, "Let him be crucified." Jesus died in Barabbas' place. Now, you begin to understand the gospel when you understand, I am Barabbas. I am the person who should have died on that cross. I'm the person who should have been in that place. Not Jesus. I'm the one who's broken God's law. I'm the one who's failed to meet God's standard. I'm the person who should have died there. But Jesus took my place. You don't understand the gospel till you understand substitution. The wages of sin is death. That's what I deserve, death. But the gift of God is eternal life. How? Through Jesus Christ. He became sin for us who knew no sin, so that we might become the righteousness of God in him. In the short term, Jesus in Barabbas' place. In the long term, Jesus in all of our places, your place, my place. See Christ on the cross. What's he doing there? He's subbing in for you. He's taking God's wrath for your sin. He's paying the price that holiness demands so that you and I can be forgiven. So that you and I can be forgiven. Christ on the cross scandalizing. By scandal I mean an outrageous offense, regardless of vantage point. What happened on the cross of Jesus Christ is an outrageous offense. A scandal to Pilate, a scandal to the Jews rejecting Christ, calling out for his crucifixion. Crucifixion was the most shameful, painful, awful death that a person could experience. Listen, and they wanted it for Jesus. Passionately wanted that suffering for him. It's scandalizing. They gathered the whole battalion before him, Jesus. That's 600 soldiers. And they stripped him, twisting a crown of thorns. Kneeling before him, they mocked him, spit on him, they struck him, they stripped him of the robe, crucified him, they derided him. What an outrageous scandal. Why the irrational hatred of Jesus Christ? And it goes on still. It's all around us. It's all the time. It's not explainable. And when they had crucified him, who can come close to detailing the suffering of Christ on the cross? His face was literally so marred was his form that his appearance was not that of a man. A death by crucifixion seems to include all that pain and death can have of the horrible and ghastly. Dizziness, cramp, thirst, starvation, sleeplessness, fever, shame, publicity of shame, long continuance of torment, horror of anticipation, mortification of intended wounds, all intensified just up to the point at which they can be endured at all, but all stopping just short of the point which would give the sufferer the relief of unconsciousness. But understand this, the physical suffering is the lesser point. Do you know that in all the words that Jesus spoke on the cross, only one even slightly related to physical suffering? All the words of the cross that relate in any way to what he was experiencing are directed toward the separation within the triune Godhead. That is the pain of the cross. That is the suffering for sin. But what's he doing up there on the cross? What's he doing on the cross? What's he there for? Satisfying. Now that Jesus has died as an atoning sacrifice for sin, now that he has been substituted and suffered and is satisfying the wrath of a holy God, when Jesus said it is finished, in that instant, the veil in the temple was torn in two, not from bottom to top as though a man were standing there, from top to bottom, as though God himself reached down and said, the way is open, come into my presence now. Wrath is averted, my son has paid the price for your sin. On him almighty judgment fell that would have sunk the world to hell. Poured out by a holy God upon his innocent son, so that we could be forgiven, satisfying the wrath of God. cross of Jesus Christ.